7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Coming soon. Snake River Manufacturing is developing a revolutionary new way to design and build a custom kayak trailer. This modular design lets you customize your trailer one piece at a time, allowing you to grow as you go.
Looking for unbeatable customer service and a kayak shop that truly cares? At No Bad Days Kayak, Forrest and his team treat every customer like family. With unmatched attention to detail, they'll even ship your dream kayak anywhere in the U.S. No stress, no hassle, no bad days. I just did that whole thing with the mute on, so I'm going to do it again. Welcome, everyone, to episode 13, where we're not perfect, but we get it right in the second try. This episode is also brought to you by Vibe. Whether you're chasing the perfect catch or just craving some peace of mind on the water, Vibe Kayaks is your ride to freedom. Built for all skill levels and any water, fresh, salty, or somewhere in between. Vibe delivers premium kayak performance without the drama or cost. From the ultra versatile Shearwater 125 to the throw and go agility of the Makana 100 to ultra portable inflatables, every Vibe kayak is crafted to elevate your experience on the water. So gear up, get out there, and do what you do. Whew. Sorry about you guys watching me lip sync for a little bit. Here we go. This episode is brought to you by Snake River Manufacturing, No Bad Days Kayak, and Vibe Kayaks. If you haven't had an opportunity, go check out Steve at Snake River. He's got some great trailers in the works that are going to be blowing the competition out of the water. Just go give him a check. If you're looking for a kayak and you want to have it delivered anywhere in the U.S., go to No Bad Days Kayak, and Forrest and his team will take care of you. They're an awesome, awesome crew. So if you want a great kayak, hit up Vibe Kayaks. They have the Shearwater 125, as well as anything you can pretty much imagine, from inflatables to your river runs. So go check them out at Vibe Kayaks. All right. So on today's episode, we have the gentleman Jake Suvak, who is a kayak angler who is in a competition with his kayak, and we brought him on to talk to him about his fishing past, his kayak that he has entered in. He's going to go over that. We're going to break it down so we can actually see what goes into having a competition ready kayak, because he fishes some tournaments, I believe. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Jake in right now. How's it going, Jake?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Pretty good. After all of our talk and practice, I did the whole intro for Vibe with the microphone muted. So
yeah, I was
it was beautiful.
Typing out a message to you, let you know, and then
as
I'm about to hit send, you're like, nobody can hear me.
Nobody. So perfect. So for everyone out there who does not know you, can you give a brief introduction as to who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Jake Suvak. I live in South Carolina. I've been kayak fishing for 8 years or so, and have been very competitive with it the past 3 or 4. And yeah.
Awesome. It was our first interaction was when I had you in for the holiday buyer's guide. It was really cool to see everything that you were recommending and things that you like to use. I like to use. So it was kind of cool to see everything. Chuck Earl says, "Jake, what's up, brother?"
What's up, Chuck?
Chuck's good people. If you don't know
Yeah,
Chuck, go find Chuck. So, well, I noticed also I was doing a little research on you, as I should, and you are a strength coach. Is that correct?
yeah, that's right. Me, assistant athletic director for sports performance at USC Upstate.
Cool. So, do you find that I myself, I've mentioned it quite a bit. I'm not the peak of performance, but do you find that your level of ability is has helped you in your kayak fishing tournaments and stuff
Yeah,
like that?
definitely helped a lot when before motors.
Yeah.
I'd when I started competitively fishing, I still worked my way around with a paddle. That's I'm sure something we'll get into a little bit at some point, but I started with Vibe in 20, I think it's 2016 or 2017 was the first kayak I got, and
Hmm.
I've worked my way up through kind of every level of the kayaks that they offer, and I was in a Seaghost 110 when I started competitively fishing, and so it was a great kayak. It was smooth. I could stand up and fish. I felt like I could be competitive in it, but I still had to paddle everywhere I went. So, I remember one tournament in particular was Headwaters. Now it was Fellsmere Reservoir back when it
Hmm.
was kayaks only down in Florida. Um, and the Pump House Canal was the hot spot, which was as far as you were allowed to go all the way at the other end. And I think it was like 2 or 3 miles, and paddled all the way down there to start the day, fished around there all day long, and then paddled back. And I was
Hmm.
pretty dead by the end of the day, but I think being in shape definitely
Yeah.
gave me the opportunity to make it that far and back.
I'm not, like I say, I'm not the vision of health, if you will. But when it came to paddling, I've always paddled. I would go fishing in a 16-foot John boat with a big wooden oar, and I would paddle that thing all day, row it all day. So when it came to the kayak fishing, I I've surprised a lot of people as to how long I could actually hang with them. I can't beat you
Yeah.
running, but I'll hunt you down in a kayak. So so how long have you been fishing? I mean, what was your beginning? What got you into it?
I grew up fishing. So my grandpa and my dad both had boats on Lake Erie growing up. So
Hmm.
they'd set the crib up in the back of the boat, and we go out walleye fishing. So
Oh, you
yeah,
just you
I
just peaked
grew up
her.
on the water.
Chuck's like, somebody call me.
Yeah, now it's funny. My dad will go to fishing shows, and every time he runs into Chuck, he lets me know.
Mm, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, I'm from to make a little more sense. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio originally.
Hmm.
So right up there on Lake Erie where Chuck's at, and so I grew up on Lake Erie walleye fishing, and then really got into bass fishing. I always enjoyed it. I loved just we had a little inflatable dinghy. I'd cruise around the marina and pick up a spinner bait every summer, and that was like my lure of choice. And I didn't really know what I was doing. It was just I'm gonna go throw this around and see what happens. And I'd usually catch a bass or two. But then started to get much more seriously into bass fishing once I moved down to Florida. Kind of went through this thought process of do I want to get really into bass fishing and be able to do it anywhere that I live in the future, or do I want to get really into saltwater for a few years before I inevitably have to move somewhere for work? So I went the
Yes.
freshwater route. Still occasionally got out in saltwater, but freshwater was kind of the calling I had. And that's when I really got into bass fishing.
So what is your even though you got into bass fishing, is bass fishing your favorite type of fishing to do? Is that what
It
really
is.
it is?
It is. It's and it's at this point, it's the type of fishing that I just know the most about. Yeah, like
Hmm.
I grew up walleye fishing. I knew how to set everything up, how to rig everything, how to put it out, but I never really learned at that time like how to pattern walleye, how to find them, what kind of structure they're sitting on, things like that. It's just
Right.
kind of our dad put the boat in the water, and I was the first mate getting everything ready to go and set up and rigged up and that kind of thing. So once I got into bass fishing, what I really liked about it was just learning more about the fish and their habits and how they move, and finding a pattern, and then figuring out why that pattern that was working a day ago isn't working today. All the things that every fisherman loves about it, right?
You have like a big wall of notebooks on this date. I caught this wind, this
Yeah.
weather. Your own
Yeah.
almanac.
Yeah. So,
Cool.
but yeah, so I mean, I don't think there's ever been a type of fishing that I really got into like I have with bass fishing, which is what I really enjoy about it. I feel like I've gotten to a point where I can confidently go out and feel good about catching a fish. There's still going to be a time or two where I'll go out and get blanked, but I remember when I first moved to Florida, probably the first 5 trips I went out, I didn't catch a fish, and I was getting so frustrated, and get so mad. And then finally I caught one, and then it was a giant, and that keeps you coming back.
It's a little bit of a learning curve when you switch different waterways and areas. I grew up on the Eastern Shore, and we did a lot of farm ponds, and I was very disillusioned with catching bass from farm pond to any place that anyone else fishes. They have any amount of pressure. You need a different skill level.
Yeah.
So, you said you went through all of the different kayaks to get to the one you are now. What was your kayak before what you have right now?
Before this one, I've had a couple Shearwaters now. Before the Shearwater, I had the Seaghost 110. So that's when I got into competitive fishing. I think it was my first year. I did it in the Seaghost, and did all right. Made my way through, but it was hard to keep up with everybody that had the pedal drives and motors and all the stuff. So that's when I decided to make the jump into something that I could pedal around and be a little more efficient with my time. Part of it was also just being able to like cover water while I was fishing, pedal while I was casting, things like that, or hold my position better. It wasn't necessarily about traveling those 3 miles, because I felt like I was able to do that paddling just fine, but it was more, all right, I need to sit in this spot and cast to that spot without having to set my rod down and try to use my paddle. So the fact that the pedal drive was there to really help you stay in position or work up a bank or anything like that made a big difference for me.
Yeah, we have a lot of people here. I'm on the East Coast, Virginia Beach, and I see a lot of people out there in the Seacoast. That's a good rough water paddle kayak for fishing here on the even on the inland, or even some of them go out in the bay a little bit with it. So that's a good boat. What made you? I know you just said pretty much the pedal drive made you transition over to. What was your biggest advantage of switching to it? I mean, were you able to get into further away places? I mean, what made you want to go with the pedal drive other than you're tired of paddling?
With the pedal drive alone, it was really being able to hold position a little bit better. Either hold position or like cover water while you continue to fish.
Right.
But I think making that jump to the Shearwater also raised the ceiling for how I could customize the kayak. There's a lot of stuff I've got on the Shearwater now that I don't think I would have been able to fit on the Seaghost 110, or I would have just felt cluttered. So the Shearwater's a little bit more length. There's the Seaghost 110 and the 130. So I had the 11-foot one. And then, I got an extra 1.5 with the Shearwater. But also, there, even on any of their kayaks, there's no shortage of gear tracks or anything like that. Like, there's a lot of opportunity to customize, but I think the Shearwater is just a little bit more geared towards the competitive fisherman. So the way you can mount your transducer for your fish finder, the way you can mount the screens for your fish finders, trying to think the way you can put motors on it. It was there's a lot of stuff that I couldn't do at the time that I got the Shearwater, but I've slowly built all those things up and tried to keep up with the competition at the highest level the best that I can.
Right. And that's the other thing I noticed too, because I have actually owned a Shearwater before, is going through all my kayaks. When you get to the Shearwater, it reminds me of like a fighter jet. It looks like it's just like the sleekest thing on the water. And it paddles, in my opinion, excellent. I mean, if you have to paddle it, which I did mainly because one of the places I fish is really shallow, so I couldn't use the fins. So I would paddle. It was like tracking and just getting it. So,
Yes. And I mean, especially living in Florida, that was, I think, one of the biggest advantages of having the Shearwater over, like there's a lot of kayak companies that make a great kayak.
mhm.
But I think something about the Shearwater that really gave me an advantage down in Florida was I liked fishing in some thick grass, and getting into some stuff that nobody wants to use a pedal drive in. Whether you've got the fins or the prop or the fins on it, the X drives, did go through the hydrilla or any of the grass that I got in. It went through it pretty well, but it'd still get hung up like anything else would. But if you had to take those the fins out, the low profile, I like to call it. I don't know if that's anything that Vibe actually calls it, but I think of it as like a low profile kayak that is going to be able to go right over that grass and move through any of that thick, nasty stuff really easily.
Oh yeah,
That's something I've always thought was really good about it.
and I loved it. I mean, if you look at the kayak, it doesn't look like it's a deep hull. Like it looks like it's a sleek thing, like I said, but it's sporting what a 475-pound weight capacity. And
Yep.
For me at the time, it was a perfect for my size. It was a comfortable seat. It was easy to paddle. With the rudder, I was able to just. It was the first kayak I had that had a rudder. So when I was paddling, I wasn't doing the dipping and diving. I was just basically, hold up, I can paddle where I want to go. So yeah,
Yeah.
I really I enjoyed that. So I see that you have a lot of things on the kayak that's sitting behind you. So
Yeah.
we'll do normally what I do is I go to the halfway point, then we do some questions and answers. But I think what we'll do now is we'll just break off and we'll start to go over your kayak. Because for those that don't know, you're in a competition. And the competition is between yourself and some other pro anglers. And they're going to make a choice on which kayak they think deserves to go to the next round.
That's
And
right.
right now you're battling someone. I don't know if we should say his name or not. Some guy. But anyway, so I don't want him to call me. But anyway, so where would they go to make this choice?
So you are going to go to the Kayak Angler Magazine website. You can type in Kayak Angler Magazine Yak Off Awards in Google, and it'll pull up the bracket and show you all the competitors, and then show the current matchup for this week, which is me and that other angler.
Yeah. We can say his name if you
and-
want.
Yeah. So it's Chad Hoover, and fully plan on winning this. So I need everybody out there to help me out.
Yes, most definitely.
But anyways, you go to the Kayak Angler Magazine website. You can just type into Google Yak Off Awards, and it'll come up with the competition, and then you get to go watch there's video walkthroughs of my kayak. There's video walkthroughs of Chad's kayak and all the other competitors. Also, there's some pictures to show you around a little bit more. And then, after you look around, realize that I've got the better rig, you select my name and go through the process. And then as you're voting too, I think there's a lot of opportunities where you can win stuff on yourself. I'm forgetting off the top of my head what the prizes are. I think there's like kayak and there's some big stuff that you can win also. So when you cast your vote and get signed up, you get entered to win some things also.
Yes, they have. I believe they say they have $3,400 worth of prizes. So, but yeah, there's a pretty good layout. So we'll go. I'll basically go off of the list you had there. So you have a dual HDS Live 9s on your kayak.
Yeah.
Is that?
Let me. I'll take the phone off the tripod here and
We'll do a walkthrough.
Back camera. There it is. I'll keep you sideways here. So up front, we've got the
There we go.
The dual HDS 9 live screens. I've got everything tied up still from my trip. So I went fishing on Lake Hartwell this weekend. So 2 units here. Right below them, I like to keep the catch board mounted, and just so that it's super easy access when I'm fishing in a tournament. It's really easy to grab this, slide it out of the mount, and slap it down right in front of me and measure my fish.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go through one thing at a time, and then I'll
Well,
I'll
what we'll
show
do.
you.
So I'll ask you some questions about it. So with your dual units, do you use one like for side scan and one for um, forward facing?
It kind of depends on what I'm doing. So anytime I'm fishing, I've got one on forward facing at all times.
Hmm.
And then while if I'm using forward facing, I don't see the need for side scan as much.
Right.
Because if I'm using forward facing, at least in South Carolina, where I'm doing a majority of my fishing right now, I'm
Hmm.
probably targeting something small and specific if I'm in deeper water, which I am
Hmm.
a lot of the time, trying to find brush piles, things like that. So it's really hard to see brush piles on side scan as it is. So I usually pull up to a point or wherever I want to fish, and then just start scanning around with the forward facing sonar, and that's how I find uh, whatever cover I want to fish.
Okay. All right.
And then on the other one, I usually got my chart and traditional 2D sonar.
Okay. All right. And you've had that mounted on a bar going across as well.
Yeah, I always forget it's the captain's bridge. So I've got two of them mounted back here, both on the same one. Um, but they just sit on there really nice. It's super stable. I actually leave the screens on while I travel around. So, I mean,
Hmm.
they stay on and don't move, and everything's been good so far.
Okay. All right. We can just work our way forward if you want. Show off the
Cool.
beautiful motor.
All right. So I've got the Motor Guide XI3 with the pinpoint GPS, and this is something that was huge for me when I when I got it.
Hmm.
Um, So especially as I've gotten into South Carolina, I've fished offshore much more often, but I always liked fishing offshore grass when I lived in Florida too. So being able to hold my position with the motor has been probably the most impactful uh, part of the kayak for me and how my style of fishing. Because if I want to fish a brush pile or I want to fish a specific edge of the grass or a point or something like that,
Hmm.
I'm able to hold my position really easily and target that over and over again until I get the bite that I want.
All right. And do you find have you've had rear mounted motors before?
I have, yes.
And
Um,
is there a benefit that you see of the forward? Because I've heard a lot of people say that for like fishing, the bow mount is the way to go because it just basically will pull you along and keep you where you want to go. Getting to a location, the stern mount is where is the route to go. What are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree with that. I'm not winning any races with with this motor up front, and especially with some of the newer motors that are coming out, the stern-mounted motors that are pushing you at 5, 6, 7 miles an hour.
Right.
Um, I'm I'm not going to try to beat somebody to a bed because I am not gonna I'm not gonna win the
Yeah.
race. Um, but so that kind of goes along with my style of fishing, though,
Right.
where what I'm finding and what I'm fishing, there's going to be very few people that find what I'm going after. So I typically don't have to try to beat somebody to a spot. It's not like I'm going to this point because it's a point that fish stage to during the pre-spawn or something like that.
Right.
There's a specific brush pile or a specific waypoint that I'm going to that it's unlikely many other people have.
Right. And then how do you deploy that? Because I know like on some other ones I've seen cables that route to it and stuff like that. Do you have a cable that you hook to the release, or are you able to actually go up and push it and drop it?
Yeah, I actually just crawl up there and push the button and then let it slide down. So just like that, and then I'll do the same thing when it's the end of the day. I'll get up close to the ramp, and when I get up, I'll just kind of crawl my way up there, press the button, pull it up, and
No, there you
that's
go.
it. I've been planning on putting a system in there for the longest time, but I've also just been doing it that way
Yep.
for so long that it's become less and less of a priority for me.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's right.
All right. You can go and let's see what else we got.
I guess I could point out I got the Guardian Angel light. That's something new that I just
Hmm.
added in here recently. Um, these have been great. So in the past, I've used the Yak Power lights, which they were
Hmm.
great, but you've got to drill into your kayak, and that's not something that I always want to do. So these are awesome because of how they're magnetic. And I just use the paddle storage up here from the front cover. I slide the magnet right underneath that. Oop, upside down.
Yeah, they're super strong magnets. I have those on
They
my
are.
kayak. Um,
So
and the best thing about those is that remote for me, because
yeah.
with the kayak I have, it's a long kayak, so getting from point A to point B, yeah, and they're stupid bright.
Yep. Can turn that off now.
Yes.
But they've been great. And like you said, the remote's awesome. I think it's rolling
Hmm.
around in my truck somewhere right now. Otherwise, I would show you that too. But these have been awesome for also something that I can take from one kayak and put on another. Um, so like I've
Oh
got
yeah.
my Makana 100 back there. I like to take that out once in a while.
Hmm.
That's usually if I'm going out for a 2-3 hour trip or something like that, something quick that I'm gonna bring only 2 rods with me, and and that's it. But
Right.
anyways, being able to move it from one kayak to another is always a nice perk.
Cool. I think I see a sniper marine there as well, right?
Yes, you do. Um, so this is the Sniper Marine sniper pole,
Hmm.
and they've been doing an awesome job coming out with a lot of unique things, a lot of innovative things for the forward facing sonar. For the kayaks in particular, you'll see I got like a ring kind of forming around the top
Hmm.
of my pole here. Uh, that's because you can actually tighten this screw right here down,
Hmm.
and oh, I keep losing it. There it is. This screw right here on the top, and that is it helps it create some tension so that whatever you're looking at the while you're fishing, you can keep it pointed in the direction that you want it to go, and it's not going to get moved around by the current or anything like that.
Right. Huh. Really precision.
So they've also got the sniper holster, which I've really liked this because some of these things can be a huge pain to just deploy and take out of the water, but it just sets in here really easily, just like that. And then
Wow.
let's see if I can work this through the trailer. And then you just slide it down here. It won't go all the way in because it's too low, but it's that easy. You slide it out, slide it down. You can pop it out when you're ready to move. Trying to do this one-handed, and then when you're ready to move, just slide it back in.
So I've never seen that before. I haven't
Yeah,
looked at them.
it's
I had another brand, and it was very flimsy. Like the whole unit was just flopping around, no matter how tight I made it. So I do like that.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's all metal and everything that they make. I'll say the Sniper Marine stuff. It's pricey,
Hmm.
but you're definitely getting what you pay for. It's high quality stuff that is going to hold up for a long, long time, and it's reliable. Um, the one other thing that I'll show you that they just recently came out with that I've also really liked. When I'm fishing grass, I like to use the perspective mode or the scout mode, or depending on what you have, whatever it is.
Hmm.
Um, I'm forgetting the name of this. I think it's the mode shift bracket is what they call
Hmm.
it. So it's this bracket here. So one thing that's great is it gets your transducer.
So you can flip it
Is
up.
it? Yeah, and then not only that, but you can also adjust the angle. So you can unscrew it here, and then you could have it completely level. So if you are in like 5 feet of water or less, I usually like to keep it flat. And anything deeper than that, maybe 5 to 10 feet, I'll drop it down one notch.
Hmm.
But you can adjust the angle so that you've got more of the bottom structure covered in that scout mode or perspective mode. Because if you're using a regular bracket,
Right.
you got to be in like the perfect depth of water to get a good image,
Yeah, I
and that
do
never
love.
happens.
I do love the way that they've thought of all of the angles and mounting. That is a bonus. If I had seen them before I got what I got, I still may have my forward facing sonar.
Yeah. Oh, you don't have it at all anymore?
No, I let it. Well, I don't fish a lot, so it was like a big chunk of money just sitting on my counter here.
Oh,
So
okay.
and then when I would go out, I'd forget everything I learned. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things. If you don't use it, you definitely lose it.
What? No, you just point and catch fish. Haven't you heard?
That's what I heard. See, you got a nice cushion there.
Yeah. So these are the kayak cushions. These are awesome. Oh, this is I was keep my spare phone case right here. I'll come back to that in a second. But um, the kayak cushions I've had for a long time now. I started with just one. I never really thought that I needed it. I didn't think that a little cushion was really going to change the experience out on the water. I was like, you're in a kayak, your back's going to hurt by the end of the day. Like, you just get used to it. But
Yeah.
I got the backrest one first,
Hmm.
and I have never felt so good getting out of the water. And then got the second one a little later on, and I can fish in this all day. And the kayak cushion makes a huge difference. Still don't know how, but it gives you a comfortable ride all day long.
Yeah, I have those as well. Um, if you don't have some sort of cushion, no matter what it is, you're gonna it's gonna make for a long day. You're thinking about the pain versus the catch.
Yeah. Yeah. Or at the end of the day, like the last thing you want to do is try to pedal, or even motor your way back to the boat ramp.
Yes, with an aching back.
Everything just hurts. Yep.
All right, so let's see what
This
else
is
you
one
got
more
in there.
thing.
Hmm.
I'll just point this out. So I keep this phone case here um, on this retractable tether, and
Hmm.
this is made by Gear Keeper, and this has been my favorite phone safety device I've ever used. I actually, until I got this, I've tried a few different things, a few different tethers, a few floats, and they always just annoyed me like no other. They all got in the way. Uh, I just really didn't like them, and this one being able to be retractable like this just helps keep it out of the way. And there's very little tension,
Right.
so you can hold the phone up over your head and it's not getting pulled back down um, when you're holding it here. So it's been something that makes me more comfortable with my phone in the water, and something I
Yeah, I've
don't
seen a
mind
lot of
using.
people lose their nice phone, so that's a good thing to have a tether for.
Man, I dropped my phone in Okeechobee one time, and it sat down there for about 30 minutes, and I was dragging the bottom of the lake with some guy's net at the boat ramp. And
Hmm.
while he was parking his trailer, he's like, "All right, buddy, I got to go fish now." And like the last pull, I ended up pulling it back up, and I'm like, "There's no way this thing's gonna work. It's been down there for 30 minutes." It worked. It lasted another like 3 years or something, so
Heck yeah.
worked out. Got lucky that time.
So what else do you have on there that sets it apart? I saw some nice batteries in the back there, and
Yeah. Yeah, so I've got some screens and the active target, and we got to have the power to keep those things running. So back here, I've got the two 100 amp hour, um, 12 volt 100 amp hour lithium batteries. So um, very lightweight. They're a little bit lower profile through enduro power batteries.
hmm.
They're small. They fit in there perfect with the black pack right in front of it. So I'm gonna try to come right around the tank well here, the rear tank well. I don't know how well you can see it. Getting a little dark, but everything, the black pack fits in there perfectly. Batteries right in front of it, and I actually use a little bit of this open space. It's usually where I keep my snacks and anything else I got for the day. Um, oh, something that I've always really loved about this kayak too uh, is the 3600 storage on the side. So they've
Yes.
got these, in the mold. So this is usually I've got my big black pack full of stuff, but this is where I'm going for anything I plan on using for the day. So anything I think I will most likely use, I'll keep stored in there and take it out, and it just sets really easily in and out of there. Um,
And that's on both sides, right?
that's on both sides, yeah. So I
Yeah.
use that. I use my left side for my 3600 boxes, and then usually on the right side, this is where I keep all my drinks for the day.
Hmm. Yeah, that's one thing I kept most of my stuff there because I told you, being a bigger gentleman, it was hard for me to get things way in the back of the boat. So I put my essentials there. And the other thing that I loved was the cup holder would actually hold a Gatorade size bottle. Like it holds a decent sized bottle on the other side.
Yeah.
So it seems like what, but it was very nice to get the Gatorade that just dropped right in there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a ton of I was gonna say there's a ton of storage, and as I'm overlooking the Versapod, you're gonna see
Yes.
again like full of stuff from this weekend. But um, all this holds again. So I've got my two boxes for all the stuff I expect to use, and then I've got this where I like keep all the stuff all the plastics I expect to use. I'll keep some other stuff like a couple extra lures, weights, again things I think I'm going to use, maybe some snacks,
Mhm.
everybody's hungry, and a scale for just in case I catch that big one. But bad day of fishing, this usually ends up a little bit fuller than than when I left the house.
The I tried this pot. So, just for people that don't know, can you tell them about that Versapod area? Because I know what can go there. Can you tell them the three options of what can go there?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I've that's a great thing to bring up. That was about to slip my mind. So I obviously use the Versapod here, but this is also where your drive pod goes. So if you get the kayak with the pedal drive, this is where this will actually swap out. I've got these tightened down really tight, but
Hmm.
these twist off, and this whole pod comes out, and you replace it with the pedal drive pod. And now that Vibe has two drives to choose from, they've got the X drive and they've got the impulse drive. The X drive is a fin drive. It only goes forward. The impulse drive is a propeller drive, and you can go forward or have instant reverse, which I've loved having the instant reverse. But anyways, each drive has its own pod. You put the pod in that you are going to use. Actually, I've got one in over here on the Makana, so I can just bring you right over here. So this is the impulse drive pod,
Hmm.
and these are interchangeable through all their kayaks. They're all the same size. They're all the same fit. So if I were going to put the impulse drive on my Shearwater, I would take this drive out of the Makana and swap it out with my Versapod.
Right. The only thing I don't like about that Versapod is when you're fishing poorly, you look down, it looks like a very stern face judging you.
Yeah.
That's it.
You're like, hmm.
Hmm. Are you sure you should be out here? Are you sure about that? Yeah.
Then
Ye-
yeah, I don't have it set up on my kayak, but also when you get the Vibe, so I took the underneath the seat tray out, but I've
mhm.
seen a lot of aftermarket products where they have a tray that you can put under the seat. Vibe actually comes with a tray that it's got tracks for under
Mhm.
here, and it'll slide out and it'll store a ton of plastics the same way the Versapod does for me. And I've just chosen to use this box that's got like my emergency stuff in it, some cleaning stuff, batteries, stuff like that. So I've chosen to use that because it's a little bit more waterproof and because I use this for my plastics. But if I were to go back to using the pedal drive, I would get rid of the box or put that somewhere else and slide my tray back underneath the seat.
Right. Yeah. So, is there? Do you have any rises or anything for the seat? Because if I remember correctly, mine had like three different positions it could go in.
So there's five
Five.
positions the seat can go in, I think. Four or five. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
because I
blanking
know it
now.
had level, like it would rock back to give you a more ergonomic seat for the pedal and fin drive, and then you had a high level for just being up a little bit taller.
I'll be honest, I never take it out of the highest setting.
Right.
Um, I really like being high up, and also, like, I've got the standing platform. Also, like, if I really
Yes.
want to be any higher, I can sit on this or stand up on it. Got to be a little
I,
brave if you're going to
I've
stand on
sat
it.
on mine. I have sat on mine, but I've never stood on it. No,
Yeah,
not me.
yeah, there was a buddy of mine
Do a
I went out
swan dive.
fishing with. He was first of all incredible fisherman.
Hmm.
But he stood up on the standing platform and then took his paddle up with him so he could sight fish. And then he'd paddle around, and then when he'd see a fish, he'd set it down and then pick his rod up and cast to it. He'd fish from that platform like it was nothing. I was
Some people are just show offs.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what I felt like. He was just showing off. I couldn't believe it, but it was really cool to see. But yeah, as far as the seat positions go, you can set it up so that it reclines.
Hmm.
Let's see, I'm gonna pop this up here. So this comes up just like this. You can put the seat base down.
Hmm.
I'm trying to do this all one handed again. So
Yeah.
uh, in the back here, so this is where the higher position goes. You can also slide the seat down into underneath it, and that is where you're going to have that lower position. So we'll go in right there. It's getting all tangled up with the wires. It's not going to sit right,
Yeah.
but
You've got to set up for the high. So
Yeah.
But yeah,
So it'll sit up like that. You can also keep it in that lower position and pop the base back up, and then I'll get it right back up to the high spot. But anyways, yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can set the seat up and make it comfortable and make it your own.
very
I don't know how
nice.
good. I don't know how good any of that video was trying to.
It was good. I mean, I saw it.
Okay.
If anyone out there wants to comment on it, I think it was pretty good. So, and I see you have some other Yak Attack stuff on the side there for your accessories.
Yeah. This, you know what? This is just overkill for me. I don't keep much in here. Really, just more stuff that didn't work that day. But no, the biggest reason I try to keep this over here is any leader line or anything that is like new or in a package or something like that. I usually try to keep handy nearby. Leaders have been the hardest.
I just picked up their first aid kit.
Yeah.
That's going to go on mine. I think I'm going to put it on my black pack.
Awesome. So the reason I didn't put it on the black pack, let's see. The reason I didn't put it on the black pack is because if you open the black pack with it on top, it'll run into the rods as you as you open it up. So you can only get it to like there, where I've got mine set up where I can prop it up, and it kind of like locks in place. It makes it a little easier to reach back and grab stuff. But that's if you don't go into the black pack a lot, or if you've got the bigger black pack where you don't have the back rod holders.
Right.
I think it's awesome to have that mounted right on the top. But I have the 13 by 16 inch black pack, which fits perfectly in this kayak. But there is a bigger size. I couldn't since I've got the batteries in here with it, I had to go with the 13 by 16. Which is
the other thing I loved about the Shearwater hull, and I keep seeing it, is those back two rod holders. They're angled so that you could go under low hanging trees. So they weren't just straight up in the air. They were angled back a little bit. The two, the one that's right there in front of you, the built-in.
Yeah, these two here, right?
The one to the left. Yeah. It was angled back further, which is the first kayak I've had that wasn't just like straight antennas. It was back a little bit so that I could actually paddle through some debris, if you will.
Yep.
I also see something else on there that I have that I love more than anything, and that's the power pole.
Oh yeah. You know, again, living in South Carolina, I don't use it as much as I did in Florida, but when I do use it, I am very glad that I've got it. Something that I love about it on the Shearwaters, I don't know how well you'll be able to see. They've got the 4 mounting points, or the 4 screw mounts here, so you could put the power pole on either side. And really, I put it on the left side just because I'm trying to balance my weight out, because I got the forward facing sonar on the right side. So you start getting all this stuff that I've got on the kayak, and you kind of got to start realizing you got too much on one side or too much on the other. And I've felt it before, so I try to make sure I got everything balanced out the best that I can. But the power pole is incredible.
Yeah, I think the balance aspect of kayak fishing is something a lot of people don't take into account. So, you have to have everything balanced out. The other thing that I loved about the Shearwater was the pod we discussed. You could also Bixby makes a great motor that can either go on the rudder or can be dropped into the pod through the pedal adapter. So you can have a motor that can swap in and out, and then throw your pedal drive in, and if a battery dies, or if you just don't want to run the motor, it could just swap in and out. There's a lot of thought that went into this boat with a lot of other people in mind as well, and seemingly.
Yeah, and the Bixby motor is a great option for the Vibe. They've got a lot of integrations for it. Like you said, you can put it on as a stern mount. You can mount it directly to the rudder. And something that I loved about that, so I actually did have the Bixby for a little while before I got the motor guide. And again, the Bixby was great, but I needed something that could hold me in place, and that's why I changed. But one of the biggest advantages of having the Bixby was let's see, these, I got them like all tucked away, but the foot pedals on the Shearwater will slide. So let me unlock this one here. So these foot pedals connect to the rudder, and if you're fishing up a bank, you can control the rudder or your motor with your feet and run your motor hands free without running yourself up onto the bank or too far away from the bank to reach it. That was one thing that I wish I didn't lose when I switched from the Bixby to the motor guide, is just being able to control the motor with your feet.
Yes. Yeah. I have the Bixby myself, and like you said, with the motor guide, you're not going to win any races to where you want to go,
Yep.
but you get there. So, is there anything else that you want to point out, or
I'm trying to think. I think
we've
that's
covered?
you know what? One more thing I'll show you is just how the transducer for the fish finders sets up on the electronics pod, and so the transducer will fit really well right here. Runs nice and level. You'll get a good reading, but it's actually mounted to the electronics pod right here, where I'm gonna pop up. This is the electronics pod right here, and this comes in and out. So the way I've got it set up, this stays locked in place. It never leaves. But before I upgraded to an obnoxious amount of wires and screens and all this stuff, all this mess back here, I actually fit all of my electronic stuff in this box. And so when
I think we talked too much about that Wi-Fi. Did we lose you? I think we might have lost you. Give him just a second. All right. Well, Jake's gone over the kayak pretty well. That's the Shearwater 125. And if you go to if you just Google Yak Off, you'll see he is in a competition. And if you would go in and choose him over the competition, if you like what you've seen and you like what he's offering over the competition, then that's a big booster to him. He'll probably jump in here in just a second, and then we'll let him back in, pretend like he never left. But if you guys have any questions about the Shearwater or anything related to the kayak that he has, I'm sure if you shoot him a message, he'd be more than happy to answer anything you've got. So give it just a second here, and if we don't hear from him, then we will jump into some. There we go.
Sorry about that.
No worries. I said we were talking about that Wi-Fi just a little bit too much. Too soon. But I went over and said to everyone that basically, if they have any questions about the Vibe or the Shearwater in itself, they could probably reach out to you, and you'd be more than happy to chat them up and tell them what your thoughts are. I told them also they could go to the Google Yak Off, and they can choose your kayak if they see fit, which would help you out immensely, and give them the opportunity to it would give them the opportunity to also possibly win some stuff as well.
Awesome.
So, and we got a couple questions here. I know that you've got something to hop on next, so I want to go ahead and make sure we get a couple of these questions. So this one comes from Phil Durdek. Says, what's your must-have accessory on your kayak? So all of everything that's here, what's the must-have? You cannot leave. I know you're like, man, I'm sponsored by all of them.
No, no, it might be. It's probably the motor, honestly.
Yeah.
I really rely on the motor now, and it's just it's such an important tool for me. So I'd say I gotta have the motor.
All right, and here's we're gonna touch on this one. What's your favorite combo that's always on your boat?
I've got the so I use the it's a custom rod made by Senko Sticks.
Mm-hmm.
he calls it the Chatter Trap 2.0. So the rod that he makes is actually a 7.6 rod, but something that he does that's very good for us as kayak fishermen is he is does an incredible job customizing these rods. But I told him that I needed something a little bit shorter, something that may be easier to skip with. So he built the exact same rod in a 7.2 model, and I use it for I don't ever leave the house without it. I use it every single time I get on the water. He made it with some custom carbon fiber grips, which have been awesome. I got my hands on a couple of the Lose Custom Pro reels that just came out, but more often than not, I'm fishing a chatterbait on this. But given the time of the year, I'm running the lipless crankbait on it right now.
All right, this was from Steve Burge. If you only had to fish one style for bass, what would it be? Finesse, crank, jig. What would your
Chatterbait.
go-to? Chatterbait?
Yeah, I can catch them just about anywhere and any body of water with that. It's my confidence bait, my go-to. Yeah, that would have to be it.
All right. I think we know this one, but I'm gonna ask you anyway because I don't know that we mentioned it on air. Steve wants to know, what will your next kayak be?
It's going to be another Vibe Shearwater. I've got one on its way in. Just trying to mix up the colors a little bit. Going with the Tsunami Red next. So this is the Raven, the gray black color, and the Tsunami Red is going to be kind of red and black. So looking forward to getting into that one here soon.
All right, this is from Andrew Haynes. He's the owner of Sonar Shield, which I noticed you didn't have a Sonar Shield on your forward facing. He wants to know what sets Vibe Shearwater apart from other kayaks, in your opinion.
It's a great question. To me, I think it's the low profile, and it's the low profile of it, and it's also kind of the price point where you're not breaking the bank. You know, I got out of college and was poor, and really I needed something to do after my college hockey career ended. You know, I just was bored and needed some competition, and that's kind of when I started getting into tournament fishing and got what I could and was able to build on it. And I don't think there's many other companies that do it quite like Vibe does. It gives you all the customization options with any level of their kayak. But the Shearwater, I think, gets you a elite level competitive fishing kayak at one of the best price points that you can find. It raises the ceiling to compete with any other kayak company that's out there.
Right. The Shearwater was one of the first kayaks that I ever owned. When you would take it out at the lake, people would look at it and go, "Oh, wow, it's a Shearwater." I'm like, I've never had that when I had my other kayaks.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, is that a Lifetime?" No, I never had a Lifetime. I couldn't rock that. This is from Philip Huddock. What are your future plans for your kayak competition aspirations?
So much of my kayak fishing schedule revolves around my work schedule and when I can get away from work and when I can get on the water to practice, things like that. So, you know, I would really like to fish the whole Bassmaster series and not miss a tournament. The schedule this year was absolutely horrible for me this year. So that's not happening. So this year, my goal is to fish at least 3 of the Kayak Adventure Series tournaments, starting with the one in Virginia coming up in about a month or so, maybe a little less now. What is it, in South Boston, Virginia? So that one's coming up, and I'm trying to get to a few of those this year. That way we get some, I get some national tournaments. I get to fish in a style I'm not as familiar with. It's a lot of river fishing and stuff I don't do very often. So I'm looking forward to that. But other than that, I'm going to do a lot of local stuff. I'm doing the South Carolina Bass Nation series. We were just on Hartwell, Lake Hartwell this past weekend, and Lake Murray last month. So that's been starting to pick up, and really anything that I can get into. I love to fish tournaments. I really like the competitive side of fishing. So anytime I can get into one, I do.
Heck yeah. He has one more question here. How stable is the Vibe 125 Well, since the fact that you can climb up to the bow and drop the motor, I'd
Yeah.
say it's pretty stable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's stable. And I talk about it like I do with anything else. It doesn't matter what kayak you have. Like, it's being able to stand in a kayak is still a skill. It's something
Yes.
that you're not going to feel 100% comfortable with the very first time you do it. But you know, the Shearwater definitely, I think, makes you feel comfortable with standing up in it very quickly.
Yeah.
It's a very stable kayak that you can get used to pretty quick.
Yeah. The Shearwater was the first kayak I could actually get in, like just step in and go. I've had others where when you put your foot in, you're like saying a prayer.
Yeah,
Like this may or may not work out well for me. So,
right.
but I think that's pretty much everything I've got. I mean, is there anything you want to finish off with about the kayak that we missed, about the competition? I've told everyone to go Google Yak Off, and they can see the competition and go in there and make sure you make it to the end, so you can get a little boost and take some extra time off from work and fish some tournaments.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I appreciate any support anybody can offer my way in the Yak Off Awards. It's I think it's a great competition. It's a lot of fun, a lot of exposure for all the different kayak companies that are out there. So it's a
Mhm.
lot more fun when you win, though. So anybody that
Yes.
can help me move on to round three, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, if anybody has any other questions that we didn't get to or didn't get asked or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook. It's Suvak Kayak Fishing. Send me a DM. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I'm always happy to talk with anybody that wants to. So, yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, I know that you've got another venue to get to, and I just want to. Normally, I put you back, bring you back in, and say thank you for everything. But I want to say, thank you for coming on. I appreciate everything that you have shown us tonight. It is a beautiful kayak, bringing back a lot of memories for me. I know that it serves its purpose well, and if you were to put one of those fancy motors on the back, that Shearwater would probably break out into a plane.
Yeah, it'd be flying.
Yeah.
And don't think I haven't thought about it. It's it's been on my mind and trying to figure out what's weighing my options. I'm still leaning towards the bow mounted with the spot lock and all that stuff, but it's getting harder and harder to deny how
Yeah.
advantageous the other one can be.
You could always possibly run both. Can you run two motors in competition or no?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I don't think many trails are letting you yet.
No.
That'd be that'd be a
Yeah.
lot of weight. I think I'm pushing the limit. I carry so much stuff with me.
Right.
I think I'm at the weight limit, especially once I put the second 100 amp hour battery on there.
Right.
I think I'm right up against it.
It's got to go up in the bow.
Yeah.
Bring you forward.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to put you in the back. If you want to hang around, you can. If you got to bounce off, feel free. I'm going to say goodbye to everyone, and then we can go from there.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for having me on. Like you said, I do got to run. I got to
Perfect.
get on to the next show, but really appreciate you having me on. It's been great talking to you, and I'm sure we'll catch up again here soon.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Goodbye. All right. That brings episode 13 to an end. I appreciate Jake hanging out. Always a great conversation around kayaks, and he has a really nice Shearwater. So if you get a chance, please go to go Google Yak Off, and you'll see it right there. And give him a chance to bring home the win. So, and if you're in the market for a cup of coffee or even a cup for your coffee, go to kayakcoffee.com for code cafe. Code is cafe20 for 20% off their coffee. And if you go to Nico's Art Therapy in Facebook, they have the rights to make the coffee cups, which the link is on the website usakfm.com. All right. Well, again, thank you all, and look forward to seeing you next week for the next episode of the Kayak Cafe.